Good morning world from Hinanangang here in the Philippines. Today we wanted to talk about the reality of being a Philippines vlogger and why our vlogs are pretty different to other Philippines vlogs out here. Morning Story.
Good morning.
What have you been up to?
I've been painting.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You enjoying the rainy day?
Yeah.
What do you think of the stormy weather?
It's good. I like enjoying the waves.
Enjoying looking at the waves, yeah?
Yeah.
They are beautiful even in the rain.
Yeah.
Quite fresh out here.
It is, as long as you're not getting soaking wet, it is nice to look at the waves.
Yeah, I realised I look like I've had an accident here. I have been walking Poppy and my coat was undone a little bit, hence the wet thing, and I couldn't be bothered to get changed.
Oh,
So
Story did an excellent job of keeping Poppy nice and comforted this afternoon, didn't you?
I did dry her, yeah.
Was she really wet?
Yeah, she was really warm on her heady.
Yeah.
Her head.
she was like getting a little massage, wasn't she?
Yeah,
You
she
were
liked
giving her
it.
a
She
lovely
said-
stroke.
Yeah, I like this. I'm doing this.
You did, you rubbed her right on the top of the head.
Yeah.
Really feel nice and comfortable.
While you're here, what happened yesterday in the car?
I poop.
Look! Da, 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 da. Number 6 is out.
So, 6 years old, 6 months, 6 times.
Yeah. So by making these videos, we've managed to document some pretty big milestones here in the Philippines. Since Story was 3 years old. Oh, Poppy's escaped. How did you get out here? Do you really want to have a look out in the rain, Poppy? Come back. Don't go out there again. We've just got you dry. Come on. So it occurred to us this morning/afternoon that the last video we published was bang in the middle of a terrible travel day, and we'd been having quite an anxious time getting from one place to the other. So if you don't know what we've been doing, we're driving all the way back from Manila back to Siargao Island in terrible weather. We had to go through severe flood warnings, orange to red rainfall alerts, and basically from what we could see the whole country was under some kind of warning for an extreme flood risk, and we still had to travel across all of that. So we weren't feeling our best. I'm still wearing clothes from 3 days ago. I haven't had a shower yet. I will be later.
Smell lovely. Not really. Just joking.
But we still have to make videos, and we still are cracking on, travelling across the country, driving with our dog and with our child. And sometimes it's not always great content. One of the things about being a vlogger here in the Philippines is that it's pretty important to stay positive and upbeat, even if things aren't great, because generally people don't want to see you at your worst. And this isn't just something that's isolated to the Philippines either. It's being a vlogger in general, happened to us in Thailand. If we're having a really bad time, kind of not allowed to talk about it, which is fine.
Yeah, people don't want to see you when you're sad or upset. It's not nice to view. People want to see nice, happy content to pick them up and make them feel good, and we know that.
Yeah.
So that's why we always stick to being positive. We don't want to dwell on anything negative. But sometimes when there's a week of this, we kind of just have to be a bit real and say this is what's happening.
Yeah.
We can't hide it, because if we hide it then we wouldn't be filming any vlogs and you wouldn't see anything from us for a week or so. And then it feels a little bit fake to us. So that's why we wanted to make this video, to say what we're actually doing, where we actually are, what we're actually feeling, what it's actually like being here in the Philippines right now. And
It's not the best time to be here.
it's not. I mean, like Joe said, this is countrywide. It isn't just isolated to this area or Luzon or whatever. It is. We've driven for days in this weather, and yesterday we had almost all day of driving. We left our accommodation and we woke up at 5 in the morning. Basically, we got the ferry. We drove across the entire island of Samar and pretty much all of Leyte to get to where we are right now, because we just want to get home. And like Jay said, there were 6 or 7 areas of severe flood warnings in Samar, and there's nowhere to stay. The places that we've previously stayed on our trip up to Luzon to Manila, were all booked out. And we contacted 6 or 7 other hotels to ask if they had room or if they would allow us with Poppy, our dog. And they all got back and said no, because pets aren't allowed, or no, because they're just not available. So we just had to keep driving. We didn't have a choice.
Yeah. It's also worth noting that the whole of yesterday we were feeling so kind of anxious about everything that we actually didn't film anything apart from the one highlight of the drive, which was when we crossed over from Samar to Leyte. It felt like the journey was over halfway done, and we caught the famous light show on the San Juanico Bridge. And we weren't expecting to catch that.
No, we weren't. It kind of brightened up our mood.
It did.
Story had been asleep for ages, which is good when we're travelling in the car. So we can get a lot done without having to worry about Story needing to stop for a wee or things like that. And she woke up just as we were kind of approaching the bridge, and she got excited. Oh yeah, we're seeing it! And it was just bright lights in the darkness, flashing red, blue, green.
Nice colours reflecting off of the water, and it was something that we thought we were going to miss, and it's also something that we didn't think we'd be coming back to anytime soon, because this drive has been so tough. So I'm really glad that we actually got to catch that by pure chance, and it did lighten us up for the rest of the journey. We had several hours more driving to do after that, and it didn't feel so bad. So now we are almost back in Mindanao. We still have several days of travel left, and the weather is still absolutely terrible. So the weather that we left behind in December has kind of repeated itself and come back around.
Yeah.
Our landlady called us this morning to say, just be careful and be prepared. The island is completely flooded in places, like right up to people's roofs. Not our house, but other places in general, Luna, and places that we will pass through. So you will probably see that in the next couple of vlogs if it's still flooded when we get back.
We're hoping that, like, I think tomorrow it's meant to be getting better weather. So we're hoping to be able to sail over to Mindanao tomorrow. We're staying here today because the weather's just so bad, and we don't want to be anywhere near the sea right now. We're right near the sea, but we don't want to be on the sea.
No, we won't be travelling on any ferries with our entire life and children and dog when the weather is not good. And apparently, according to reports, there's another low pressure area forming across this zone, which is what's creating all of the heavy rains and possibly big waves. So we'll wait and we'll play it safe, and we will travel when it's safe to do so. But one of the reasons why, again, we wanted to address this in our vlog is because it's not always going to be the most popular content. Most of the Philippines vloggers, especially foreigners that come to this country, they'll go to all the top highlight tourist spots, which is what you should do if you're on a short holiday, and they really highlight how beautiful and how amazing the Philippines is. The blue waters of El Nido, the beautiful beaches of Boracay, how nice it is on Siargao, and it's obviously great to do that. But when you start filling in the gaps, whoops, the phone actually just stopped recording because we got an emergency rainfall alert come through. It basically just said that there's very strong rainfall in this area and the area we just drove through, and of course flood warnings and stuff like that. So this is a constant reminder to us that we're living in the tropics. Climate change has made things different these days, and we have to be aware of certain dangers and ways to keep safe when you travel across the Philippines, mostly related to weather.
That's one of the reasons why we wanted to keep driving yesterday through Samar, because there were so many flood warning points on the map on that island, and there was quite a few times when we were driving alongside rivers or the coast, and we just wanted to get out of there. We didn't want to be stuck or something to happen that would keep us there or get caught in a flood or something, so we just kept going to basically get the heck out of there.
We were following exactly the same routes as the Filipino coach drivers. We were on the same roads, driving the same conditions for the same amount of hours, taking road stops in the same places, and we really got to see the lifestyle of like somebody who was transiting across the country to do those kind of like island to island drives. I don't think there's many vloggers that have actually had to go through these kind of things when they come here. You fly from island to island and you experience the best of the best. And content wise, obviously it's probably not the best thing for us to show these kind of things, but at the same time it's reality, and we always default back to the true story because that's what we want to see. when we look back on these memories, when we're 48, 58, 68, we can look back at ourselves and go, "Whoa, look what we were doing."
I was a little bit worried, to be fully honest. I was a little bit worried filming this video because I wasn't sure how I was going to feel, because the last couple of days there's been a lot of tears, a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
I'm going to say there's been a lot of breakdowns between me and Jay.
Yeah, we both cried.
It's been very emotional, and I would say this journey back has broken me a little bit because of how tough it has been.
Yeah. The journey up
Yeah.
was lovely and exciting.
Yeah.
We were filming 2 videos a day. Any dramas that happened were kind of funny because they were an experience. Coming
Yeah.
back down.
It does feel like an endurance test, this trip back. And yes, we could have just powered through and done it in 3 days or something, but we have to take into consideration that we have a 6-year-old and a dog, and we're travelling through very bad weather right now, so it's just not possible to do that.
Yeah.
So we just have to keep going. And what's keeping us going right now is the thought of getting back to our home, where we'll feel safe and we'll have all of our comforts around us, because
Yeah.
that's what we set up here in the Philippines. We want to get back to that. We've
Yeah.
been away from it for so long, and we just feel kind of a bit like
Disenchanted.
untethered.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It is.
and that's the reality of
Yeah.
it. When you do a long-term living in another country, this is what happens sometimes. And again, I think it's important for us to show that, because we are being very real with our life here in the Philippines, and we're not just showing, like Jay said, the wonderful beaches, and of which there are many
Yeah.
at certain times of year. And if you stay here and you live here, you're going to experience this. I mean, the guys that set up this Airbnb, they've got this wonderful property here, slap bang on the beach. They've got the dragon fruit farm, and it's lovely. When the sun is shining and when there's guests coming through and your cafe is up and running, and you know, music playing and the sun umbrellas are up, like we could come here in the summer and show a completely different view of this area, this place, and people watching from elsewhere and think, oh my god, that's idyllic, such a tropical paradise. But when you're here right now, it's a completely different feel, and you have to be aware of that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we wanted to share today.
Yeah, and I would also say that it's probably not a good idea to like base your entire trip to the Philippines between December and March, because of the typhoons and the low pressure areas, the heavy rainfall, the floods, all the things that can happen here that are pretty dangerous and would ruin your holiday, and also ruin the lives of a lot of people that live here. I mean, we've seen firsthand the Filipino endurance is unbelievable. That how they can still smile after losing everything, having gone through the typhoon last year and everything. We really, really appreciate how strong this nation is.
It's incredible.
It's incredible.
It's incredible to see it firsthand as well. I mean, you hear stories, the Filipino resilience, but until you actually see it and compare it to, you know, what our life would be in England or how we used to live, it's just like
The protective bubble that we live in the West.
It's unbelievable.
It really does like open your eyes to like the things that you consider to be problems. They're so small in comparison, but they still feel like big to us. And I feel like our perspective on things is a unique one, because we're doing things that are very different here in the Philippines. And also, we understand that it's self-inflicted. We chose to do this drive. We chose to take our dog. We chose to do this adventure.
Yeah.
So we are now just kind of reeling the effects of our choices.
Yeah.
We know that, but we also like to use these vlogs as a diary and tell you the reality of it. But it's just not that highlight reel that you see on social media. Sometimes there's a dark side of a man wearing 3-day-old clothes.
Just another point to make. We know that Siargao is experiencing this awful weather as well. We know it's flooded. We know people aren't having a great time there right now. But you go on Instagram, you don't see it.
No.
So you would be sitting there thinking, oh, what a wonderful time people are having in Siargao, they're in a cafe or whatever. But people don't show this.
Yeah,
Because
not often.
social media is like, it's for the best parts, it's for the wonderful times you want to show off, you want to show that it's sunny, and where someone else might not be in the sun, so you want to be like, oh, I'm in the sun right now, it's great. Oh,
Frame your moments.
frame your perfect moments. And
Everyone
that
is
what-
guilty of this,
Yeah, that's
including
what
us.
you see.
we also do it. If I'm filming a beach and that part looks lovely and that part's covered in trash, I'm going to film the lovely bit.
And
Yeah.
ignore the rest.
Yeah, because I know that it doesn't get received well when you make those kind of videos. And this is what all Philippines vloggers, like who live here or pass through here, they all know this. It's very true. And it's not just in the Philippines, again, it's other countries. You show the highlights of life because in some way you only want to highlight the bits that make your life look better. But it's just not reality. So today was like, for us, when we woke up this morning, it was like, what are we going to film today? It's peeing down with rain. It's literally a storm. We can't get on the boat. We can't go anywhere past this porch. What shall we do?
Story's done some crafts that we bought when we were in Naga.
Yeah, Naga City.
Because I was kind of preempting that this was going to happen, so I need some activities.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I would like to highlight how absolutely fantastic Story and Poppy have been on this drive.
Unbelievable.
It's
Just-
I can't even, I haven't got the words
Yeah, I
to
can't
say.
put it into words how resilient also like Story
yeah.
has been. You know, to tell her yesterday, sorry, nothing fun's gonna happen. From dawn till dusk, we're gonna be in this car. You're gonna have to eat in this car, sleep in this car until we get to our destination because we have to. And she was just like, all right. Listened to some podcasts, sung a bit, did a drawing, slept. Just amazing. I can't believe it.
She had a few episodes of a programme downloaded on Netflix, so she's watched those. She slept for ages.
Poppy only did like 2 wees in the whole day, and then she didn't want to get out.
We played a couple of travel games, like kind of I Spy games and things like that. And we kept each other up, our spirits up by doing that. And we've actually found a good podcast. So I remember on the way up mentioning we were struggling to find something good to kind of listen to in the car that was suitable for a family. And we found one.
It's called
the
Red Night Stories.
The Adventures of Red Night.
Yeah, and it's really, really funny.
It's on Spotify. It gets better as it goes along. So we started from the beginning.
I feel like it's like watching or listening to an episode of a DreamWorks or a Pixar animation.
Yeah.
It's meant for kids, but it's also quite amusing.
Yeah, they do like
just keeps you
funny accents, which is what Story likes about it. Because we asked her, what do you like about listening to these? So I really like the voices they do. And it's a continuation as well, so each story develops as it goes along.
And it kept us entertained,
Yeah,
like on the long drive, kept Story entertained when we had moments of like, what else can we do? So we've just been sitting here watching the waves go by, even though the weather is terrible and we can't travel, and that we were talking a little bit about the downsides of what life is right now. It's still beautiful being here, and I'm glad that I am actually doing something interesting like this and not just sitting in my old life that we left a long time ago. It's still part of the adventure, and we will look back on this when we're not feeling it so directly and be like, it was still worth doing. And maybe we won't do it again in the near future, but it was worth it, every moment of it, especially to get to spend so much time with your dad up in Manila and enjoy the holidays as a family, which hasn't been very easy to do over the last 2 to 3 years.
No, it's been fantastic. I'm glad we did the trip, but like Jay said, we probably won't do this drive again. So we are taking it as it comes, and we know that this is a one-off thing that we're going to do for a long time anyway.
So the next time you're watching Philippines vlogs and you see all of the clickbait titles that we all use because it's part of media, then just take it at face value. If you want to see something beautiful, you want to see something that gives you a good feeling, there's nothing wrong with watching all of this kind of stuff, but at the same time I would say try not to ignore what makes life real life as well. So we hope you enjoyed this video and found it enlightening in some way. I'm glad we shared it. It took a weight off of our chest, and hopefully we'll see you in a better one next time.
Bye.